Today on the show, we'll be focusing on telling you the right way and even showing you the right way to help a child when it comes to emergencies, okay? So it's first aid for children, and we'll be focusing on the emergencies, what you really need to know. But before you meet our guests for today, we have a question for you. And today we're being generous, so we're giving you multiple choices, okay? When it comes to the question of the day. And the question is, you find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move, okay? You find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move, okay? So choice A, check for a pulse, okay? Choice B is call their name loudly. C, start CPR immediately. Or D, call emergency services. Once again, the choices are A, check for a pulse. B, call their name loudly. C, start CPR immediately. Or D, call emergency services. So what do you do in this instance where, say you find someone collapsed and they are unresponsive? What is your first move, okay? I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. At NTV Kenya across all board is how you can reach us, and that is on our socials, or give us a call. Our lines are open, and we look forward to hear what you guys have to say. Or better yet, use our WhatsApp number 0112-500-400 and tell us, what do you do in such an instance, okay, where you find someone has collapsed and they are unresponsive? What is your very first move? Check for a pulse, call their name loudly, start CPR immediately, or you are going to call emergency services. But before you, respond to the question of the day, let's meet our guests. And on my immediate left, we have Macrin Akoth Ocheng, who is an emergency medical technician. Good to have you. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for making the time. I am well. Thank you for asking. And then we also have Eli Charles Omogo. I was about to call him Eli. He's like, Eli. Eli is my name. And he's an emergency responder in emergency medicine and trauma as well. Good to have you this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well this morning.
Karibu sana. And we have Millicent Osoga, who's an emergency medical dispatcher, joining us this morning. How are you doing, Millicent?
Thank you.
All right. Now, can we just start with your roles? Because it's like different things. Because as we're thinking about first aid, we just think kila mtu ni daktari at this point. We call everybody, doctor, please help. We need to do this, we need to do that. But can we start with what you guys do? Because it's different things. You are an emergency medical technician, and then, responder, and then dispatcher. Can we start with you? A technician. As a technician, how different is your role, say, from his and hers?
I'm Macrin, as you said. I'm an emergency medical technician.
All right.
EMT, in short. We deal with saving lives.
Okay.
We deal with every emergencies in drowning, in accident issues.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say technician, it seems very technical. Me, I'm thinking cables, the machines. No. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ellie, responder. What do you do in cases of emergency? Because if three of you mepatikana at the same place, I don't think you will all be doing the same thing, right? Yeah.
Thank you. As I said, my name is Eli Charles Omogo. Emergency responder. Maybe before I go into my role, there's a point she left out. That is the part of technician. The technician means she's got a given skill that is different from another person who is outside there or a civilian. There's a skill impacted in her to save lives. Yes, that is why emergency, and it is now medical, and then technician, which means she's got technical knowledge and skills to save life.
Okay.
My role.
We'll look at that technical part in a second. She's being humble. She's like, we just save lives,
Yes. Thank you. Personally, I did clinical medicine surgery, and in this regard, I did a specialization in trauma medicine, and that includes emergency response and responder to different types of emergency. I am an aqua rescue personnel. That means we save people in water. I save people also on the road, that is road traffic accident, inclusive mass casualty incidents. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sasa wewe ni multifaceted. Maji uko sawa. Hapo kwa barabara uko sawa. Like you and then you talked about surgery as well. So kwa hivyo unaweza perform surgery on site.
Minor surgery.
Minor surgery before
where the law allows me to reach.
Ah, fantastic. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. That's great to hear. Okay, Millicent.
So I'm an emergency medical dispatcher, as I'd mentioned. So with the dispatch, before they go to the, let's say the scene, there's a phone that they need to get.
Yes.
I'm the one to make that phone call.
Okay.
Yes. So probably there's maybe a bystander who has witnessed maybe a road traffic accident. They will reach out. They reach out. Then I'm the one to receive that phone call. So once I receive that call, I'm able to know whether this incident probably needs a basic life support ambulance or advanced life support ambulance. So as my colleague earlier said, so here's a capacity whereby maybe an emergency medical technician, she has a scope.
Okay.
So with Macrin, she deals with maybe the basic life support situations. And with Eli now, he deals with the advance. So that's why maybe you see a patient who is an ICU patient.
All right.
She's maybe if the patient requires to be transferred from one ICU to another ICU, that is where Eli comes in.
All right.
Yeah, so it's my work is to receive those phone calls.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you're saying is us, we call you.
Yes.
You call them.
Yes, I call them. Then after I've called them, they go to the scene, they tell me how the patient is, probably they give me the first maybe vitals, how is the current blood pressure, maybe the current heart rate. Then it's my work also to call the hospital where the patient is going. So that the accident emergency, they're expecting this patient.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Alternative, when you have like mass casualty incident, I cannot do seat and everything.
Yeah.
So my work as a dispatcher is also to call the receiving facility. No, so that because they normally have their normal operations. So we don't want to interfere with their normal operations.
Yeah.
So that's why I come in to call them. So that if they need to secure maybe an extra bed,
So for you, it's very, what's the word? It's very, and especially those moments where it's chaotic, like you said, it's mass casualties. You have to make sure that there is order from the calls that you receive to, passing on to these guys and making sure that where they're going, there's also room for the patient that they're taking, because it's very intricate. It's a very intricate. Out of curiosity, how many calls do you receive in a day?
Because we receive phones countrywide.
Okay.
I will say not calls are emergencies calls. So probably somebody can just call. Probably I need to talk to someone. Maybe they need counseling services. So we refer them to our tele-counseling services. Probably they just call. Probably they want to know our services. Maybe they want to book an ambulance for an event or maybe a funeral. Yeah, not all calls are emergency. But I will say on a typical call, I will say, let's say 100 calls.
Okay.
Because we dispatch ambulances all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. So, Eli, can we talk about some of the, when we say emergency, most of us think about the worst. Okay, but sometimes it's not always the worst near-death experience. Sometimes it's just something that someone is like, so what do I do in this instance? And I need someone with the technical expertise to say, like, walk me through what I can do. So what are some of these instances, of emergency that you guys either deal with or that we have?
All right. There's several scenes of emergencies. Let's say from the least to the worst. Okay. We experience all of them at all corners. One, we start with emergencies that we may experience at home.
All right.
We have these emergencies like a child is choking. A child was just walking and then knocks himself to the ground. On that ground, there is a sharp stone. Then there is a cut. Then this child runs into the house to the nanny or whoever takes care of her or him, whatever, be it the mother or the nanny. And then in this case, then you should know what you should do. A little thing that you should do to make this child, number one, suppress the pain, because we have this thing called first aid. Generally, I would say first aid is the first attention or treatment you can give wherever you are using the locally available materials.
Okay.
Why do I say locally available materials? You might be at home where you are not able to access the hospital equipments or the emergency equipments. In this regard, then you should get anything that you can use. For example, somebody is bleeding and you don't have a glove, because the first thing you should be safe. Your safety comes first.
Yes.
As much as this person is bleeding, you should not touch that blood because you want to help. Then that is called personal protective equipment, PPEs. If you don't have glove, you can ask the person himself or herself to help you pressure pack or apply pressures to stop the bleeding, so that the other components of blood, that is like platelets, to take their course, so that the bleeding stops. That's just an example. So first aid is the first action you take to help somebody, not just somebody who has been injured, but even somebody who is ill. So it does not necessarily apply to only somebody who has been injured. So it applies even to somebody who has asthmatic attack. That is 1, 2. And then we have the term casualty. Casualty is anybody who is sick, ill, or injured.
All right. Okay.
Now, those are emergencies. We have this emergency whereby you are in town walking, and then a motorbike knocks a passenger. A vehicle knocks a motorbike. A motorbike knocks a bicycle. A bus ramps maybe via the road and rolls. Then we have a mass casualty incident. You have several cases whereby maybe children were skating and then collapse or falls and has a broken limb, whether the upper limb or lower limb, or has a bruise or a cut wound or a nose bleeding. Yes, those are some of the case scenarios that we get in daily lives.
Yes. Fires, because we also experience a lot of fires.
Of course, children, not just children alone, but everybody. But if I talk of children, then you can have children at home testing. You know, there's this age of children, they are testing.
The curious.
And the curiosity age, that is where you find they insert things in their nose, they swallow coins. Then we call that foreign bodies in different parts, which are mainly handled by ENTs. Yes, so in this regard, we can have even the burns. We can also have the foreign bodies inserted in different parts of the body, more so the ears, the nose, the mouth. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Macrin, do you want to touch on fires a little bit as well? And not just for the kids, because we're going to delve deeper into the kids and look at the different, emergencies that, you've mentioned a few, and then how do we respond? Because it's different depending on what caused the emergency, if that makes sense, right? But do you want to touch a little bit on fires, just in general? Yes.
Okay. In cases of fire, you may be cooking and maybe the gas just pops out. Then there is fire all over. There is an emergency. You can either call for fire safety.
All right.
If at all you have the fire extinguishers, you can use for the first action you can do. You can use a blanket. You can take a blanket, then you cover the gas. Then the fire will go off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I mean, there's so much that we need to cover on the scene, but just to cover bases in terms of understanding what emergency is, some of those instances, that are emergency. Do people even know the emergency number to call? We'll look at that as well when you come back from the break. But remember, the question that we're asking you today is very simple, but also we're giving you multiple choices. The first one is you find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move? Okay. So the choices are A, check for a pulse. B, you call their name loudly. C, you start CPR immediately. Or D, you call for emergency services. What do you do in this instance? Okay, A, check for pulse, call their name loudly, start CPR immediately, or do you call for emergency services? That is the choices that you have. Okay, so engage with us on all socials. So that is at NTV Kenya across all board. Tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie, or give us a call. The lines are open, and if you're not able to get in touch with us because somehow the lines are busy, you also have another option, and that is use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400. Right, we'll be looking at your feedback and also all your questions if you have any. That is after the break. Do stay with us. The show is Your World. All right, welcome back to the show. 35 minutes past the hour, and today on the show we're focusing on first aid, and especially for children. I am pretty sure the parents who are watching us this morning, you can relate to this when we say kids are prone to, I want to say, emergencies. And when we talk about emergencies, please do not think of the worst, okay? Sometimes it could be a little thing that you don't even know what to do and how to handle the situation. But we all know how kids are, okay? Ameshika moto, ameingiza like a bean in the ear, kwa masikio, because they're just curious and they want to test these things. So we're focusing on them today. And how do you respond to a child, say in crisis or in cases of emergencies? What do you do and how do you do it correctly so that you don't aggravate the situation? And even at that, we have a question for you. And the question is very simple. You find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move? Once again, you find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move? The choices that we have for you this morning are: A, you check for their pulse. B, you call their name loudly. C, you start CPR immediately. And D, you call for emergency services. Those are the choices that we have for you this morning. Let's hear what some of you have to say. So this is Dola Nusu Dola. Wait. Your name on Facebook says, place him at a recovery position in a well-ventilated place and continue checking on his response as you wait to refer the person to the nearest medic, okay? We have experts here to whether that's correct or not, okay? And then someone else, this is Jamil Ngore, who says, check the pulse, go ahead and give CPR. And then Justin Swati, still on Facebook, says, you assess the situation around first, maybe you meant assess, right? Yeah, you assess the situation around first, which is danger, your safety first, of course, and you call him or her. If he is unresponsive, you check for pulse and then you start CPR immediately and then you call emergency. We have A, B, C, D. Okay, and then another person says, this is oh, wow. Oh, guys, okay. So Master F. Orina says, none of the above. You let the person... Hey, I'm not even going to ask the question. Yeah. And then another person says, this is... oh, wow. Okay. This is Magi bin Karani rather says, okay. What if they don't do that? Then what happens? Okay. And then... Okay, beginning anasema, this is Brian. Brian anasema, unape kofi moja, sure. Okay. What do you guys make of all these responses? Eli, what do you say? Unamwagilia maji baridi, unamtwanga coffee, you call out their name. What do you make of these responses? Sometimes we see mtu anatandikwa hivi kidogo tuone kama ana respond.
It means you're checking for response of this person. Okay. But don't do that kindly. Okay. You can cause more harm than good. So if you want to check on this person, one, you already find that this person is already unresponsive. Okay. So you'll call the name loudly to know whether this person can hear you or not. All right. We always say that the last sense to die in the body is the sense of hearing. That is why you go to an ICU and you have unresponsive patient, you want to transfer, you will still speak.
But they can hear?
Yes. Ellie, we are referring you from this point to point B, and then Ellie may not respond to you while the hearing is there, but doesn't have ability to wake up or open the eyes or to raise the hand and say it's okay. Okay. Therefore, check for the response, call out loudly, and then after that, already you would have checked the pulse. Okay. After checking your pulse, because I think this should be in chronological order. Okay. You have to do one thing after another. Number one, I said, call the name, check if the person can hear you, because some people might be. Let me put it in quotes. Okay. Some people have something called hysteria. Someone might not be typically sick, but that voice that was there before, ndiye hataki kusikia. Therefore, a different voice atafungua macho kimpango. So number one, just call the name. Okay. If he or she doesn't respond, followed by checking the pulse. If the pulse is there, or the pulse is not there, that will give you a way forward on what to do next. If the pulse isn't there and maybe you're seeing a labored breathing, then CPR will come thereafter.
Okay.
But before you start CPR, make a call for the ambulance or for the emergency services people to come. As they are coming, you are performing CPR. You are doing something so that when they come, they take over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I see that. Okay. Hi, Dime Salim, hey, because I might butcher it, says, call emergency services, and then another one says, Celestine Makoha Opame says, make the area safe, assess the situation. And then another one says, this is Gladys Hila Chepkemoy, who says, by the way, what's the emergency what's the number for emergency services? Remember I asked you over the break, do people know the emergency services number? Help us, okay? Let's just start from there. What is the emergency number? Because most of us would know 911 because of the movies that we watch, right? Yeah, but what's all these emergency numbers?
Okay. Thank you. So for the emergency numbers, we have 0700. Okay. 395. 395. Okay. Yeah, so that one is a number that's a 24-hour service. You can call anytime.
Is it like a universal, not universal, national emergency number, or this is specifically for you guys?
For hours. This is for emergency plus medical services. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can also call the 1199.
1199.
Yes.
Okay.
And 1514.
1514.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You might have those numbers displayed on the screen as we continue with the conversation. So you said
1199.
1199. So you're near
1514.
National emergency.
And still you can call the 0700 395 395.
395. Okay. Yes. Sawa. Because a lot of people don't know. As we know, 999 from
that means there is a slight difference. 1199 is toll free, and 1514 is also toll free.
Okay.
And then sometimes it might be extra busy. 0700395395 can also serve you. Yes.
Okay. And when we say toll free, it is free.
Yes. Then what I can also add on the when they call, sometimes you call maybe kuna credo ya 5 bob.
I mean,
yes. So sometimes you can just call, say that I have an emergency, please call this line. When you sometimes you can call, mtu anafikiria, oh, hapo ni kwa KPLC. Yeah, sometimes they make that call. That kind of a call. It's not an emergency, but that's how they call. So once you call and you don't have airtime, just say, I'm Millicent, I have an emergency, please call me back. Yeah. Sometimes unapata mtu ana flash.
Yeah.
So you can never trace that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at least when you call, I see your number on the dashboard. It would be easier for me to call you back.
Okay. Fantastic.
And
all right.
Maybe one last thing. Sure. So when you're calling, please give us the exact location. Because you have an emergency, you're crying over the phone, but we don't know where you're located.
Okay.
Yes. So if I have the correct location, it's easier for me to dispatch an ambulance at the exact location, and it would take like a lesser time reaching to that emergency compared to you're calling. I know sometimes maybe the situation is overwhelming, but I'll try my best to calm you down so that I get at least the location. Yeah, the location is very important.
So when you say correct location, because you see people, you know, like we do. You see, like in the Western world, there's the street names, and then there's like the numbers for the like different gates, different. But for us, this is
sometimes it's difficult, but utapata maybe there's a church. There's a school, at least a landmark.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
With
at least a landmark. Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good to hear. All right. So let's talk about children. Okay. What are some of the common emergency or the hazard, if hazard is the right word, to use that children experience, and then we'll go through them one by one, and then see the different ways that we can help children when it comes to first aid. We have like a baby here. What do we call them today?
This is Princess.
Oh, you're the princess. Okay, we'll call her Princess today.
Not Prince Otieno.
Okay. In babies, there are so many emergencies that arise. Like, you're a nanny and you are giving a child maybe a porridge, then she chokes or he chokes.
Yeah.
There, you get stranded. Like, maybe you don't know what to do next. So in that position, you can either call for help, but that's why we are here, to help you in first aid.
All right.
Like a choking baby, you may let's say she's now choking.
Okay.
I can demonstrate.
All right, sure.
As she is choking, you can give 5 back slaps. Do like this.
Okay. It's like there's a movement.
You don't slap the child.
Okay.
Just do it. 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Just be gentle.
Very key word. Be gentle.
Yeah, you be gentle.
Okay.
Then from there you can also give abdominal thrust.
Okay.
5 of them.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. Then you turn the baby like this. Then you can just use your small hand. You do like this. Maybe the baby took what do we do it? What do we call it? A bean. So you can just do it like this. Maybe it is just in the mouth.
Do you understand her like this so that people at home bass?
So you can just swipe like this, then you remove it.
Okay.
After this, the back slaps and the abdominal thrust.
Okay. So how do you do the abdominal thrust?
You do it like this.
Using 2 thumbs,
Okay.
you do the abdominal thrust. Using your palm, you do the back slaps.
Okay.
Assuming that with your back slaps, it helped to remove the object and come to the mouth orifice. Therefore, that is why you use your small finger
index to
and
just
try to navigate if you can get it.
Okay.
If you can get it, the better for you. I call you a hero because you made it.
Right?
Yes, but if it's not there, you repeat the same procedure. Yes,
okay.
don't do it once and you give up.
Yes, I can't get it, then that's it.
Twice. Do it once, repeat twice.
Okay, I have a question. So is it dependent on what they are choking on? Say, for example, peanut butter, honey, maybe, or waru, potato, kula potato. Like, is it dependent on what they say they have swallowed, or this is like a common rule of thumb that choking is choking?
Just a common rule.
Yes, it's common, but now for something like uji or honey or porridge, whatever it is, the fluids, this may not help much.
Okay.
I remember when I was young, I remember my mom, she's called Adhiambo.
Hi, Adhiambo. Is she watching today?
Of course, I think she's watching. Adhiambo used to tell me, Adhiambo, hi. Adhiambo used to tell me that look up. Looking up, actually, we would not understand what it meant. But remember, there is something here called epiglottis. Epiglottis separates the airway and the food pipe.
Okay.
Therefore, when you look up, the epiglottis will go, will open, and that thing that went into the airway, be it porridge or the little particle of porridge or whatever it is, the air will bring it up and find it is open, and then when you come back this way, it will close the airway, and therefore that particle will not go back into the airway.
Okay.
So this means even those our grandmamas and they knew something. It's only that they didn't have a better term to tell it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So is this also dependent on the age of the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like this is for infants.
Okay.
And for adults or maybe teenagers, you can do abdominal Heimlich maneuver.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You want to show people what that is?
Yeah. Maybe here is an adult. He'll stand here. He'll stand behind.
Okay.
Then you'll do like this. Locate the abdomen.
Okay. So you use your thumb to locate.
To locate
the navel.
Oh, hapa kwa kitovu.
Hapo kwa kitovu.
Okay.
Then you'll push inside.
Oh, you squeeze it.
Kidogo si ile ya kuumiza.
Oh, okay. Gentle.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might pop out.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it that we must not do? We're still on choking, right? Yeah. What is it that we must not do? Millicent, do you want to take that? What is it that we must not do? And what is it that we usually do that is wrong? One is panic. We panic because, well, it's a child. We're desperate. We're like, what do we do now? Okay. Yeah. But we're usually told don't panic. Okay. Yeah. But what is it that we do wrong that we shouldn't do?
Actually, one is panic.
Okay.
So once you panic, like you're overwhelmed, there's nothing much you can do, because I'm just looking at an instance whereby you have the nanny at home and probably the mom or maybe the employer is unavailable phone, and maybe the nanny is not empowered with maybe first aid skills, and even she doesn't know what to do. And that is where we normally even receive phone calls from maybe mothers, maybe they're at workplace, they call, when they call they're also panicking. And you find sometimes even with nannies, they panic, and probably even the emergency, I'm not saying it was not an emergency, it was something minor, of which if maybe the nanny, they're empowered with first aid skills, probably these are things that they can even sort at home.
And
as simple as even having that number when there's an emergency. Because I'm just looking at a situation where the mom is unreachable, but I have the number here, I can call for an ambulance. Because our main mandate is to save lives. As much as there's a cost implication, but our main mandate is to save lives. Because I'll be able to dispatch that ambulance. They go, they do the first aid, and maybe stabilize the baby, and maybe even go to the hospital. Then fortunately, we're able even to reach to that, maybe the parent. And that is where we also, even at schools, maybe we have kids with different medical conditions. Maybe the teachers are not aware. So the mom panics. So that is where I'm saying, if we create awareness, we sensitize. Because they're just basic, we just need the basic knowledge of what to do in case of an emergency. All right. And you find sometimes, for example, like choking, sometimes we decide that tumpe tu maji akunywe, labda itatoka. Ama maziwa. Because sometimes probably that person is choking, maybe he or she took a poison. So once you try that person taking that maybe water or even milk, probably we are causing more harm than good.
All right, so don't panic, have the basic skills.
Just have the basic skills. And skills maybe is just having that phone number. Okay.
I think at this point, let's all have the emergency numbers. Because again, in those cases where you're panicking, you'll not even remember the number of it that you you won't even remember those things. But if it's somewhere, it's very easy for you to access even as you try, first aid, the basic that you've learned. Okay, Ellie, anything that we do wrong, and especially on choking, we're still on choking, that we shouldn't do, and especially on children, doesn't matter the age?
Thank you. One, we have different ages of children. We have the neonate, the one that has just been demonstrated. And number two, we call it now a pediatric, a different age, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. Then you see this one, you are holding a baby. Let me have it. You are holding this baby on your hand this way. But a situation whereby the baby is not of this age, more than this age, then you kneel down behind the child. Kneel down behind the child, and as the child might be standing. And then the child standing, and then you are kneeling down. When you kneel down, you find that your height will now be somewhere here of the hand. And then you will perform the Heimlich maneuver, as she said. After this, now we have adult. Adult now like Winnie, standing in front of me, and then I'm also standing. Then you also perform the Heimlich maneuver or the abdominal thrust. But I have a question. How do you do it for a pregnant mother? Can I ask you, or I ask the nation?
Everybody. Let's ask everybody, because oh my day. See, we don't think about that.
You got a pregnant mother. Let me say twin pregnancy or even single. How do you now do it for a pregnant mother? Because anybody can choke.
Or even a child who, again, is not able, probably has a disability, and they're not able to say like stand or, wow, okay, How do we do it?
We thought beyond that? We'll tackle that later.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So,
oh my days. Yeah. Because we're due on a break. But is there something else that you wanted to add, and then before we go on a break? Before not the pregnant and you know, persons living with disabilities.
What we need not to do, check on the environment where your child plays. For example, keep your bottles well. A bottle for soda should not hold paraffin. A bottle for medicine should not hold salt. Or a bottle for salt holding medicine.
Yeah.
So the child knows that she's going to pick sugar in a bottle, a given bottle or a tin, but now what is inside there is different, something else. That causes us to have organophosphate poisoning, OPP in short, in children. Then this child you bring to the hospital that he or she is unconscious and you are not able to tell what happened. This child might die if no intervention is taken faster, and then you will not know what has killed the child.
Oh, wow. Wow, so something to think about. Yes, and put them. We're usually told put it out of reach of children. Okay, so that they can't easily access it. Thank you for that. Something to think about as we go on a break. Okay, and just a reminder of the question that we're asking you this morning right here on Your World, and that is: you find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your very first move? Okay, you find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move? The first option that we're giving you multiple choices. Okay, so it's check for pulse. You call their name loudly. You start CPR immediately, or do you call for emergency services? What is that first thing that you do in case you find someone has collapsed and they are unresponsive? Still a lot of feedback. Brevino says, check airway, breathing and circulation, weak or faded pulse, and then start CPR, check for signs of death, and then refer. And then someone else say just one more before we go on a break. This person says, why? This person needs you, okay? And then another, this is Josephine Motoka, who says, all the above. Start with B, A, D, and then C. We'll look at the B, A, D, and C after the break. Just stay with us. But remember, we're live. So if you have a question or concern or a feedback, feel free to call us or use our WhatsApp number, 0112-500-400. See you after the break. Welcome back. It is officially 11 a.m., second hour of the show right here on Wellness Wednesday on Your World. And we are focusing on our children today and looking at the emergency instances, crisis, moments, and how do you respond to that in case of an emergency, okay? This is as far as a child is concerned. But now, Eli has introduced another special group of people that, oh my days, I am guilty of this. We rarely think about it. That is pregnant women, okay? What do you do in case of an emergency? How do you handle them? And then also focus on persons living with disabilities as well. Say, for example, someone is not able to, say, stand. Okay, how do you help them? Again, something that we need to think about, but also they're here, so they will help us, with that. But before we get into the question that we're asking you this morning, very simple with multiple choices, okay? And the question is, you find someone who has collapsed and they are unresponsive, okay? What do you do in such an instance? You find someone who has collapsed and they are unresponsive. What is your first move? And like I said, we're giving you multiple choices this morning, okay? So let's look at the multiple choices that we have for you. So the first one is A, you check for their pulse, okay? B is you call their name loudly. C, do you start CPR immediately, or do you call for emergency services, okay? A, do you check for pulse? Do you call their name loudly? Do you start CPR immediately, or do you call for emergency services? So there's one here who said, one sec, let me just find this. Yeah, they're like, wee, like an ambulance. You start doing the sound, wee, wee. Like an ambulance. But there's another one that is pretty hilarious. I'm trying to see if I lost it. But Jane Joki says all four. And then Stephen Kibe says A, but better start with D and then A, B, C. I think that's what you're saying. And then a lot of people are saying B. This is Masindanu. Maggie Buru says C. And then Treblik Aidan says, ooh, my yeah, and then A. You call their name. And then someone says B, and then says, don't ask me why. Okay, we will not. This is Tayden Jose. And then Martin Quite says C. Hawkins Atozo says D. Ferdinand D says D. Spoiler KE says A. Okay. All the choices that we have. But really, what would you do in such an instance where you find someone who is who has collapsed and they are unresponsive? What do you do? Okay. But before we went to the break, so there's that question about pregnant women. But before even that, okay, so we're done with choking, but we talked about during the break, if someone has choked on a bone, say a fish bone, you know how sometimes we give our kids a chicken leg, drumstick, like kula kula yo, you know, as you need, and then before you know it, say they choke on it, okay? So a bone, any form of bone. What do you do in such an instance? No, pay magic. I'm a coin. We talked about coin, you know, as well. Ellie, do you wanna just help us very quick, and then we focus on
okay, very quick one. All those I said previously, we call them foreign bodies. Okay. It can be foreign bodies in the nostril, in the esophagus, or in maybe still in the mouth. Now, it will also depend on where is the foreign body. Okay. If the child has swallowed a coin, are you able to see it right now? We have special lights we use to see if there is something in the mouth. If you are able to see it, then the best thing is to go for it. Talk to the child, tell the child to calm, and then go for it, hold it pole, and come out with it. Number one, before you come out with it, check if it's holding the edges of the pipe, be it the food pipe or whichever pipe. Okay. If it's holding the pipes, then it needs more specialized removal means. Okay. If you are not able to see it, then that means it's gone past where you can see. That might need to be removed either in theater or not in theater per se sometimes, but may need specialized skills and tools. Okay. For example, if the child has, let me talk of the bones. The bones can be detected in an X-ray. Okay. So you take the child to the hospital. For example, you tried the home ways, banana or what, and it's failed, and therefore you go to the hospital, they will do an X-ray. The X-ray will detect where is it and the position it's taken in the esophagus or in the airway. And therefore, when the X-ray has detected and seen it, therefore it is at that point whereby the hospital where the child is will now call for the surgeon to come, or maybe ENT surgeon, or whoever who is there, the endotracheal. Then they will take the child to the theater, remove the foreign body, and free the child. Okay. Yes.
But you said sometimes, again, it depends. Because we're talking about what do you use, water, maziwa, because we rush towards whatever it is that we can find, you know, easily at home. And you said sometimes not safe, others are safe. Banana, like you said, is safe.
Of course, I've touched banana. Yeah. I still mention this. My mama used to tell me, take ugali, but don't munch it. Oh. The way you've taken it, try to make it go the way it is.
Meza hivyo.
Meza hivyo. So that when it is that light bone or something light, it will push it down into the stomach. Okay. That way it will be crushed a bit, and then it reduces in size. It will come out in the poops.
Okay. So don't give what? Don't give avocados. You know, avocado is
water will not help. Okay. Avocado is soft.
It's toast. So you want
yes. Yes. Okay. A few cases you can use bananas and maybe ugali. Okay. Those can help.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Millicent, do you want to just go through, just in case someone missed out on the first part of the emergency numbers, what do you call, and then what do you do when you're calling? Because you're panicking and then, we're crying and, you know, so we're not able to give you the full information, right? How do we relay the information that in a way that is helpful to you, that you can send help very quickly? Yeah, but also just start with the emergency numbers for someone who missed it.
Okay, so the first number is 0700 395 395. The second one is 1514. And the third one is 1199.
1199. Yeah. Okay, all right.
So once you're calling for help, you just call. Probably you can just maybe mention where you're calling from and the nature of emergency. That is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And are there instances where you can take someone through what to do as they wait for, say, Ellie and need to come?
Yes, yes. Yeah. It's possible. Actually, we've even help. There's a call in Kakamega, and we even managed to assist somebody to help a mother give birth via phone.
All right.
Even the CPR, sometimes it's, but it's not easy for a next of kin. You're seeing your person probably is dying, and maybe I'm on the other side on phone telling you that, are you able to do the CPR? Sometimes for those people who are courageous, they've done.
Yeah.
And some people, depending with how the situation is, the CPR are not effective because they are not in a position to concentrate with the CPR. They're only concentrating on how long will the ambulance arrive.
Yes.
And you see, sometimes with our roads, we try, but sometimes we find challenges because you see, we are not the only road users. You can even cause accident. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But once again, the emergency numbers there, you have it on the screen: 1199 and 1514. Those are toll free.
Yeah.
Okay. But in case that one is busy, you can still use the other one that is at 0700 395 395. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So Macrine, let's talk about burns, for example. Sisi, when we were growing up, we were told eka maji, maji baridi, and then sometimes we're told no, but that is not the correct way. Sometimes I paka mafuta hapo kidogo and then itaisha, Sometimes they don't help, sometimes they do. Oh really?
Yeah.
Toothpaste?
Yes.
Hiya, okay, I've not heard about what I know about toothpaste. Yeah, mandamano.
I've heard of someone, even they apply urine. Yes.
Okay, do they help?
No.
Okay, don't. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, yeah, burns and the different, types and degrees of burns and what we do.
Degrees.
Yeah.
Under burns, we consider the degrees.
Okay.
We have first degree, second, up to 5 degrees.
Okay.
So in burns, like these light ones, you can just, maybe you got a burn on the hands while you are cooking chapatis. You can just go direct to a tap water. Open the tap water, put your hands there. It runs for 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it will cool down the temperature.
Okay.
Then you'll rush to the hospital. You might pack it with you cover it with a foil, maybe the available material.
Okay.
You can pack it with a foil to retain the heat.
How much burn is this? Sometimes, when ukishika hivi kadogo, inachapa tu, most of the time we dip our hands in cold water. So don't iweke kwa running water. It doesn't
for 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But also before that, because you've mentioned first degree, second, third, fourth, you said up until?
Up to 5, up to third.
Third,
yeah.
Yes, third degree burns. So do you want to explain what those are? Like how deep or how severe or how, I don't want to say dangerous, but how severe, they are.
Yeah. We have a burn that you've just sustained while cooking chapati, or you're frying your tilapia, and then
of course you would say tilapia.
Okay. I don't want to say njahe.
Okay.
All right. You're frying your tilapia, and then upon pouring tomato, and then the oil jumps and falls or splash on your hand.
Okay.
Go to tap water. Why do we insist of tap water and not cold water? Cold water will bring abrupt change of temperature. Abrupt.
Okay.
Which will not be nice. One, it can be where there is a blood vessel.
Okay.
And blood vessel has blood. It's got blood in it, which is hot. I don't want to say warm. It's hot.
Okay.
Therefore, that abrupt change of temperature will interfere with some pharmacokinetics, which that's a bigger term now. I don't want to explain that right now. But it will change. Now, we need that gradual change of temperature. The tap water is not cold.
Okay.
It's warm. So it will maintain the temperature, at the same time cool it gradually.
Okay.
That is one. Two. Okay. So that is first degree burn is where it is just on the skin. Second degree is where it penetrates the skin, not that deep, but just below the skin at something called epidermis.
Okay.
And then the 3rd-degree burn is whereby it is now deep to an extent whereby there is a massive swelling of the burnt part.
Okay.
Yes, I remember a few months ago, I went to evacuate a patient from somewhere in Uganda.
Okay.
Using an ambulance. Okay. This person burnt, is a Kenyan, but burnt via a fuel tanker. Now, this person burnt, the only part which didn't burn is this face.
Okay.
Every other thing got burnt. So this is the worst burns I've ever seen. 90-something% burns. We talk about the degree of burns, and then we also talk of percentage.
Yeah.
In burns, we have different percentage. We say like maybe this lower limb, maybe 9%, 9%, then the whole body goes up to 100%, covering some people will hear them telling you 1%. 1% is just a small portion of your body,
okay.
which I don't want to mention here. But now it covers everything. Now, when somebody has 1st-degree burn, this person doesn't necessarily need to go to the hospital, but can manage by running cold or tap water, and then if there is pain, can take a pain medication, and this might resolve very easily, unless it's getting worse, then you go to the hospital. 2nd-degree and 3rd-degree burns, you need to go to the hospital. Run your tap water on whatever part you got the burns on, and then go to the hospital, get medication. The 2nd-degree, you might be given medication still and told to go back home and monitor the situation. But then, as another situation is whereby you have 3rd-degree, my friend, this is a situation whereby automatically you will be in the wards. Sometimes a parent comes with the child to the hospital, and the child has 3rd-degree or 2nd-degree in children. And another thing is burn involving a joint. A burn involving a joint. Any joint. That child or that person needs to be admitted to the ward for management.
You call emergency services immediately. Don't try anything. So I remember, not many years, but a few years back, I think a child either alichomwa na maji moto, alikuwa amechomeka na maji moto or something. I didn't know, but what I heard was there was hot boiling water involved, and the person carrying the child just wrapped the child like with a blanket, and they were literally running to the nearest healthcare facility. But you see, at that time they're running, there's a bit of exposure because the blanket imefunguka, and you could see blisters, all over the child's body. And I still have that image up until now, because the child was crying in pain, the mom was crying because they don't know what to do, so they're literally running to the hospital. And I understand there's a bit of panic. You want to get help as soon as possible, but then again, there's also the exposure part. So I don't know what's right, what's not when it comes to handling children with burns. Do you want to tackle that, Macreen?
Like the first thing you should do, you should always be careful with the children. You let these nannies to be careful with the children.
Avoid burns if you can.
You can avoid.
The first place.
Just avoid them. Another thing, in cases of burns, there are some burns that can cause deformities. You can have a disability, maybe to 3rd-degree burn. You can even, maybe mkono zilikuwa tu hivi sawa, then zinajikunja.
It's called strictures.
So with those ones, you just have to rush to the hospital.
But what do you do when you're rushing to the hospital? Do you
can just cover with a blanket, then you rush.
What would you cover with?
With the
what do we use? Because say for example a blanket, unaweza pata blanket itasi safi, and then you cover it, and then
All right. At some point, we need not. Sometimes, let me use it very cautiously. Sometimes, you find that dirty blanket is what you will save. It is what is available. Remember, I said the definition of first aid, using the locally available materials, the first and initial care given before you go to the hospital. But now, when the ambulance arrives, ambulance will come with something called thermal blanket. I don't know whether I have one on the table there.
Oh, we do? Okay.
This is called thermal blanket. As you can see, the one side is gold, and the other side is silver. There is one side that attracts heat, and the other side retains that heat.
Okay.
Therefore, as you see this one, Winnie, this one can cover a whole of you. It might seem to be small.
Yeah, it looks tiny. I'm like, that one covers a child?
Yeah, this is so big. It's 6 by 6.
Okay.
Actually, 6 by 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's very big. So, as you can see, it's 210 centimeters by 160 centimeters. Very big. So, when the ambulance arrives, we'll cover the patient using this thermal blanket to retain the heat.
Okay.
What brings the pain during burns is the loss of heat.
Ah, okay.
Yes, that abrupt loss of heat brings the pain. Now we try to maintain heat so that this heat helps reduce pain.
Okay.
It's just the same way someone has a fracture in an RTA or road traffic accident and then mguu imevunjika. In that regard, when you come with maybe splints and you splint that mguu, even the patient will start saying, "Aye, I'm feeling a sigh of relief.
Do we need
Thank
to go to
you,
the
guys.
hospital?
May God bless you. So you receive that bundle of blessings because you've done something little, but with a lot of magnitude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I was just concerned when you said that maybe this mama was rushing to the hospital. Because I'm just trying to imagine when this mama is running to the hospital, how far is the hospital also? Yes, because I'm just looking at a situation where if the hospital, let's say, is 200 meters, 300 meters, where that person is staying, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm just looking at maybe it's 40 minutes. Yeah, just call for an ambulance.
Okay.
Because sometimes, yes, you might rush, but once you're at the hospital, probably...
It's almost too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
Okay, all right. And I think that's why we're saying don't panic. And I know it's easy to say don't panic until you get yourself in... But try not to. Try not to panic. See if there's no... Nowadays, we have neighborhood clinics, which is good. It's the first, contact. But then, like you're saying, if the hospital is too far, please just call for emergency. Call for emergency services. Okay. We're due on a break in like 3 minutes or so. So we're to talk about burns and also poison. Okay, yeah. Can we tackle poison very quickly and then we go on a break? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Under poisoning, maybe you have some drugs that you are using. Then a child, maybe an infant, just goes, picks the drug, then it takes it. That one is a poison already. For that instance, with poisoning, we have some emergency drugs you can use. You can maybe crush a charcoal.
Okay.
A charcoal, then you mix with water, let the child drinks it.
Or charcoal maka.
Yeah, maka tu hiyo.
Activated.
Kuna activated na kuna yenye iko available ni hii tu ya kawaida maka.
Ile maka ile tunajua.
Hiyo pia unaweza crush.
Okay.
Then you give. But in chemistry in chemists we have these activated charcoals.
Okay. So it's good to just buy them and have them in the house.
Yeah, you
activated
need to have
charcoal. Okay. All right. Anything else that we can use at home before we get to the emergency services?
I think with poison also we need to be very cautious.
Okay.
Because sometimes we don't know how the poison is. Maybe when you try to tell the child to ingest maybe something like water or even milk, we might cause more harm.
Yeah.
So with poisoning,
the eggs.
The poisoning, the best way is to rush to the hospital as soon as possible. Yes.
There is something called aspiration. Maybe the child took the poison or that material some long time ago. It has taken effect to an extent. Let me say, for example, the tongue has rolled and blocked the airway and the esophagus. Now you were giving something like water and the piglet does not work effectively. Therefore, that water or the material you are giving will go into another pipe, causing choking. And this choking, in this regard, we'll call it aspiration. And with this aspiration, now you are headed to death. Yes, and even if this person does die, we might have aspiration pneumonia. which might end up in ICU.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I normally say the first contact of a person or a medical personnel with a casualty matters a lot. Sometimes I handle a spinal injury with teaching the people, like the citizens or the civilians, on when you reach an accident scene and you want to help out, you are going to help. Good Samaritan law may cover you. But then, as you are going to help, kindly know some basics to help out with so that you don't cause more harm. Some people are in the accident scene, but they end up being lame or crippled because of that person who handled. Because
so you want to carry them and yet maybe they have, this location.
So you are making, you are injuring the nerves. And injuring the nerves, you are making that person to have paralysis.
And we don't want that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think then that goes to say how important it is for us to just learn basic first aid, skills, which we'll look at, after the break, but also go through more of your feedback on the question that we're asking you today, and that is, you find someone who has collapsed and they are unresponsive. What, do you do in that instance? You find someone who's collapsed and unresponsive. What do you do? Or what is your first move? And the multiple choices that we have for you. So A is check for a pulse, B, call their name loudly, C, start CPR immediately, or do you call for emergency services? Well, let's get to hear what some of you have to say on our WhatsApp number, 0112 500 400. So this one says, hi guys, I am Ruth. I wish my neighbor knew this 3 days back. She could have saved her baby girl, but it's never too late to learn. May her soul rest in eternal peace. Oh, I am so sorry. The child unfortunately passed on. Okay, all right. And I think that is why we're saying let's all learn some basic first aid skills. But hey, we're here, okay? And we're learning together. So let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll also access more of your feedback. And that is on our socials at NTV Kenya or on WhatsApp as well. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We are in the last few minutes of the show, Your World. And today on Wellness Wednesday, we're focusing on first aid, and especially for children. What do you do in case of an emergency? And what is the correct way to help a child, even as you call for help, or if there is a nearby, facility, maybe before you rush them? What are some of those things that you can do correctly and gently? They insisted on gently helping this child, okay? And we have a question for you today, and it's very, very simple. And the question is, you find someone who has collapsed and they are unresponsive. What is your first move? You find someone collapsed and unresponsive. What is your first move? The choices that we have for you this morning is A, do you check for their pulse? Do you call their name loudly? Do you start CPR immediately? Or do you call for emergency services? Now, there's someone who said there is no emergency services in Kenya, so remove that from the choices. What do you want to tell this person who says, Akuna emergencies? Either there are no emergencies in Kenya or there are no emergency services in Kenya. What do you say to this person?
Maybe he's not aware. We have emergency services in Kenya. And maybe I can still repeat the numbers.
Yes, please.
So in case of an emergency, whether it's a road traffic accident, whether somebody is choking at home, any kind of an emergency, just call 0700 395 395. You can call 1199. You can call 1514.
Okay.
Alternative, if maybe there's a medic even around your neighborhood, you can just call. Even that person can still assist, or if there's any help around you, still call.
Okay. And just a reminder that the 1199 and the 1514, those are toll free, as in they're free to call. Okay. All right. And still in the response, Patrick Malema says, assess for safety. I think we'd read this, right? When we started the show, or maybe it's a continuation, because they say, assess for safety first, position the patient to lie down, do ABC, check for the airway. If there's any blockage by any foreign substance, if there is, remove it to allow proper breathing, and then check for breathing by looking, feel, and see chest rise. Hey, this one, eh? And then continues to say, if there is no breathing, quickly assess the pulse, carotid artery, and then continues to say by using your 2 fingers to feel, and then it takes less than 10 seconds to in assessing the pulse. If there is no pulse, call for help and quickly position the patient into a supine position. Hey, we are somewhere. Position and start CPR immediately. And then Dimas Halim says, call emergency services. And then another person says, I think the one who had asked for the emergency services numbers, which we said is on the screen. And then Oscar Esau says, education is never ending. I thought I was through with my 3 masters. No, we learn every day, and especially when it comes to what is it called, first aid. Okay, and then Joyce Katinda says first aid is good, but sometimes we fear because of those people always negative. Unaweza sikia maneno ushangae after when you're trying to help. I mean, so there's a bit of like an attitude perception when it comes to like first aid.
Actually, we need. Other than that, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
But what hits us sometimes, that you as Winnie, you are going home, maybe at Komarok, and you get an RTA that has just happened, and then you did not call the emergency medical services immedately. You delayed for 30 minutes. You called 30 minutes later. You are still seeing them and taking photos of the injured. You are taking videos to TikTok, and you are forgetting to call. We are not saying don't take videos and photos. Take, but after you've called.
But after you've called.
So that the ambulance is coming.
Yeah.
And then when the ambulance has arrived late, you again stoned the ambulance. So, or you hit up the paramedics in the ambulance because they have arrived late while you called late, or you did not call. Another person called late.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take that responsibility in case, you know something. So, and especially in the urban settings, especially in Nairobi, where apartments, kila mtu anajifungia kwa nyumba yake, and so you hear maybe there's a fight, or there's a child really crying on on the next door. Or your next door neighbor, and you don't do anything because you're like, mambo ya wenyewe, naweza ita emergency services alafu waseme mimi ndio nili, but no, call first. Call for emergency, services. It doesn't matter whether you know the person or you don't know, because you might end up saving their lives. Okay. You want to talk about pregnant women. How do we help them in cases of emergencies, and also double that with persons living with disabilities?
All right. You got a pregnant mother who is choking. The best thing, the woman or the lady or the mother, the expectant mother, will stand right in front of you.
Okay.
You will not do abdominal thrust.
Okay.
But in that regard, you will do chest thrust.
How do you do that?
Because remember, the abdomen where maybe that object would have gone is already occupied.
Yeah.
By what?
There's a baby.
All right, good. Now, when it's already occupied, then the space that might be there is just above that baby. So it is where the rib starts coming up. So you'll do that thrust.
Okay.
As you do gentle back slaps.
Okay. So wait. So just above the
where the rib starts.
Yeah.
And okay, when it will also depend on the gestation of the pregnancy.
Because
it could be still down here, it could have extended upwards, and therefore, let me say it's maybe full or term pregnancy at 36, 37 weeks.
Yeah.
Then you will put it somewhere here, just where the rib starts, and then that is where you hold your 2 hands together.
Okay, like interlock them, right?
Yes, interlock them in between the fingers, and then you'll be doing it this way.
Up. Okay,
yes.
not because some of us
not this way. It is up, inward.
Okay.
Up, inward.
How much pressure do we apply at this point? Because now, so there's a baby growing, but then again, we're also scared to kivunja ribs. What's going to happen to the world? How much pressure?
It is the same thing that you will ask me, that when doing CPR, the chest compressions, how much pressures do we need to apply so that you don't break the ribs? Sometimes we say, just break that rib and let that heart revive. That is one. Two.
Okay.
The pressures, for example, for the chest compressions or the CPRs, do it until it goes down and let it recoil.
Okay.
That's when you do the next one. So it is, you let it recoil.
Okay.
Now, in the chest thrust, do it until it goes inside.
Okay. Okay. Usiogope kuvunja rib. Sometimes it's okay.
When you are in a real-time emergency and you need, for example, that question that we have running today, then do compressions. That rib, and it is also not easy for the rib to break just by compression. The ribs may easily break by a sudden hit, or maybe by an object, or fall from a height. Like we were tackling a child who has fallen from a second floor, third floor to the ground floor, or to maybe to a veranda of a first floor, and hit himself or herself on a metal. That is a different case. But here is just a hand with nyama and bones. So it is not easy to do to bring the fracture or the breakage of the bone.
Okay.
Now, that is for the pregnant mother.
Okay.
For that disabled person, you have to now think outside the box and see the best position to put this person before you help this person. Because remember, we have people that might be disabled in different ways. Someone might not be able to walk. Someone maybe is not able to write. Maybe the upper limbs are not functional. So it is you to look for the best position. So with the disabled person, it is you to look for the best position. But for the pregnant mother, it is chest thrust above the height of the baby.
Okay, all right, okay. So assess the situation and then see the best, possible solution at that time as you call for emergency services.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, even to the question that is running today, we always have maybe a producer can look for this thing called AMEGA. A-M-E-G-A.
Okay.
AMEGA.
We have a graphics person on Nakuskia.
Very nice. AMEGA. Where A is assess.
Assess.
Now, it's like we are also answering that question. Assess. 2, make area safe.
Okay.
Making the area safe means, number 1, making sure that you personally, you are safe. Me first. Me first. Number 2 is the casualty. Number 3 is the bystander.
Okay.
I first make sure I'm safe. You are going to a collapsed building and there is a debris hanging and you don't have an helmet and you are going inside because you want to save somebody whom you are able to see. No. Put on a helmet before you go. So make area safe.
Okay.
And then E, give the emergency aid.
Okay.
G is now getting the help. Calling for an ambulance, calling for the police when maybe people are rowdy and you are not able to do anything. And when you are done giving your first aid, make sure that if you used a glove which had blood, you used a gauze containing blood, you used a material that is going to be not nice to the environment, do aftermath.
Okay.
The last A is aftermath. Remove all your debris, because you leave a glove with blood, a child passes by, finds it as a balloon, and I puliza.
Oh no.
Yes, it happens.
Oh my gosh, no, we do not want to do that too. No. Okay, because we do not want to make things worse.
Yes.
Okay, in the event that we are trying. We talked about schools and also illnesses, conditions that sometimes the teachers might not be aware of, and the child might need emergency services. What do we do in such instances? And what by we mean the parent in terms of disclosing the information, and also the teachers in handling the situation.
So first I think I'll just tell the parents maybe to work in collaboration with the teachers. If you find that probably your kid has any pre-existing condition, maybe the child was born with diabetes, the child is asthmatic, you can just inform the school. And fortunately some schools, they have like school nurse, so at least they have a medic on site. In case of an emergency, they know what to do, either maybe to give the medication that the child is using, or even at some time they call for an ambulance, so that maybe evacuate that child to maybe a facility, a hospital, for continuity of care. Alternatively, we can also empower the teachers with first aid skills, because you see, most of the time the teachers are the one who are with the kids. So at least if they're empowered, with the knowledge, awareness, sensitization, it will be easier for the teachers also to identify if there's any issue with the child at an early stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I see that. And Macrine, we talk about first aid and first aid kits, and sometimes you see these in buildings. Some people have them, you know, at home. So what should a basic first aid kit contain, either for home use or even in offices? Sometimes you see these boxes, then you open, there's literally nothing. Just because we have to display them.
For safety officer.
For safety officer, if they come.
In first aid kit, they are just this basic first aid kit.
Okay.
We have gloves there. We have thermal blanket. We have gauzes. We have some drugs.
Okay.
There are these common drugs like PCM, paracetamol, activated charcoal. We have maybe flagyl. Yeah.
Okay.
That is a basic first aid kit.
What it should contain.
Yeah.
Okay. Should people have this at home? Because there's also that, you know, as especially Africans, like when we have these things at home, it's like we're calling for emergencies. We're calling for bad things to happen. So we don't want those
emergency
things.
can occur at any time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So we need to have them. Even fire extinguishers, we need to have one.
Okay. Can we also talk about the disposal? Because Ellie mentioned, you know, assess the situation, ensure that you're safe first, and especially in a case where you have to, say, handle blood, please use gloves, like personal protective equipment, if it's available. So how then do we dispose them? Because most of the time, you know, then you find yourself, you know, getting in contact with the thing that you were trying to avoid.
Like we should have a sharp box. If you have you have used the sharp. Now, let's say maybe you've used syringes and needles. You should put them in a sharp box. Then the gloves and others, maybe gauzes, you can wrap, then put them together. At home, maybe you can just burn them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Also, for awareness purposes, like we said, it's important that everybody at least have the basic skills when it comes to first aid. But where do we learn them from? I know there's the school of YouTube, you know, and online. But where do we get, you know, to learn the basic first aid skills that we need? And is it free?
Yeah, so that is why we've shared our numbers, so you can just call and we direct you on how to maybe get in touch with our training institute and also purchase a first aid box or a first aid kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, that depends. We charge?
Yes.
Okay. How much approximately?
So it depends, because we have different kind of first aid, from the basic to the advanced. Yeah, so we have the basic one that goes for 8 hours. And it also depends with how many people are you. Is it a one person? Is it a group of 10 people?
Okay.
And from there, yeah, we're able to
come up with a
but still issues to do with sensitization, awareness, that when you do it at, it's part of the corporate social responsibility. That is the CSR component, because it's always good also to give back to the community. Yeah, so the sensitization, that one is free.
Okay, all right. So Ellie, you look like you have something to say. You're holding something. Like, of course.
It can never miss.
I have a lot.
This thing can never end. Even 2 hours might not be enough to do all this. Actually, we always need a very ample time to explain everything, unless we create another time again to continue with this session. Generally, I'm holding something called triangular bandage.
Triangular bandage.
Yes. This triangular bandage, as the name suggests, it's triangular in shape.
Okay.
It's got different uses. You can ask me that what can we use this triangular bandage for? As I said,
it's very light, like linen-y.
Yes.
Light, right?
So these are triangular bandage. This triangular bandage, we can use, somebody might have maybe, let me say, a dislocation or a fracture at this joint or on this hand or even here or on the shoulder. Now, this I need to demonstrate for us to see. When you don't have a triangular bandage at home, what do you need to use? Look for a cloth, a light cloth which you can use. Hata kitamba hii wamama kufunga kwa nywele can help you make a triangular bandage. Even your handkerchief can do. You have bigger handkerchief or small handkerchief that you can use even for a neonate, not a neonate per se, but a pediatric mtoto. You can use your handkerchief to make it, or even vitambaa hizo za kufunga kwa nywele, or even bandana, or so there are several things you can use.
T-shirts,
very well. I said
whatever material is
available,
readily available material at home or wherever you are, or you are from school. I've even seen people use sweater. Personally, I've gone to an RTA scene and used my makasi, nikakata nguo ya mtu yake tu na ndio nikamsaidia nayo, nikamwambia hii nguo shika nayo hapa, na akashikilia.
And it saved their lives. Okay.
Let me not mention more. Now, we have 3 sides of this triangular bandage. We have the 2 longer sides and 1 shorter side. Now, in this regard, you will tie the shorter side.
Okay.
Assuming that we have maybe a fracture or a dislocation at here, or a fracture here, or even here, or a dislocation at the elbow. Now, I'll use Macreen as my patient.
Okay. Sorry, Macreen. You're Nini Leo. Okay.
Now, when we have this...
Macreen, do you want to stand like this?
Yes. Let me say this is the hand. Then I'll tell Macreen, kindly hold here.
Okay.
And then, for me to know whether Macreen has a dislocation at the shoulder or at this joint or a fracture here, then I'll tell Macreen, can you use your hand to hold this other shoulder? So can you try that? You find that sometimes she reaches here and she cannot continue.
Okay.
Use the other hand to hold it, then this one is fully going. Then this hand has a problem. I'm not able to know what exactly the problem is, because we need to do an x-ray to confirm. Therefore, I'll just tell Macreen, kindly hold here. Now, upon holding here, when I tie this will form a pouch.
Yes.
Now, this pouch will come here, and then I will bring it this way.
Okay.
So, because the hand might be now too heavy, and in that regard, now I'll tie it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I tie it a running knot, a simple running knot, whereby when I've tied it, I can even remove with one hand. So when I tell him to relax her hand, then the hand is rested. It is already helped because of the pouch.
Okay.
Now, when I want to release it, just...
Macreen, oh, sorry, you umetoa the running. Yeah, we want people to see the running.
Fine, we will still return it.
Yeah,
just turn.
so that you don't tie it very complicated. That's
no, don't tie complicated. Just tie the first simple knot this way, and then the second knot is whereby you just put this one this way and tie it this way.
Like a bow, you know?
Yes, just a bow.
Okay, it's just
yes,
like
very simple knot to hold on this hand, so that this hand already has somewhere to rest.
Okay.
Yes.
And then when you want to remove, like you said, you just
remove. Because of course in the hospital, when it's being removed, it will be held this way, and then this one removed.
It's easier.
Yes.
Okay. Any other way that we can use the triangular bandage?
We have a cartoon here.
Okay.
Macreen has a cartoon here, and we only have maybe a handkerchief.
Okay.
Then you tell the person he or she has held the cut, applied the pressure, and the bleeding has reduced. You have a handkerchief. Just put this way and look for the best way you can tie it to make the bleeding to stop.
Okay. All right.
Just tie it so that this person reaches the hospital. Somebody will ask me that I have a snake bite. Do I need to tie or not? I don't. That
you have an answer for them. Okay.
Yes.
What do you do for the snake bite? Just very quickly as we end the show. Do you tie? Do you not?
Sometimes we will tell you, because sometimes we tell somebody to tie, that person will tie it too tight, because most of the people will tell them to tie it too tight. And you tie it too tight, you cut the blood supply. You're already causing something called necrosis. You are killing this hand.
Okay. Because you see, most of the time we think when you tie it too tight, you're poisoned. And you're causing more harm than good.
So you are necrotizing this hand.
The hand.
Yes.
So tight but not too tight.
Yes.
Tight but not too tight.
Yes. Okay. And after tying, the next thing is
run to the hospital. Run to the hospital. Okay, so we need to bring the conversation to a close. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. I'll just give each of you 30 seconds for your parting shot. What is it that we need to walk out of, or walk out with from today's conversation as first aid is concerned? We talked about the different types of emergencies and what to do, but what is it? Macri, do you want to start? What is it that you want people to walk away with from today's conversation?
Oh, like in cases of burns, avoid toothpaste.
Yeah.
Avoid toothpaste.
What will the toothpaste do if you apply?
If you apply toothpaste, it hold your place and you're gonna blast.
Oh, and then it dries.
It dries. Yeah.
Okay. But turn on toothpaste.
Toothpaste kabisa.
Okay. Thanks,
and always take care.
Yeah.
Let's take care of our kids.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Macri. Okay. Yeah. Any?
Me, I can say several things, as always.
Okay,
but let me try first.
Wacha nikuombe 15 seconds. Ile ya Macri na mekudonetia.
Oh, thank you, Macri. 30 plus 15, 45, almost a minute. No, thank you.
Okay, all right.
An RTA scene or an accident scene or an incident scene. You've seen an ambulance coming. Give it away.
Okay, yes. I mean, yes.
Wananchi, give it away.
Yeah.
Be it that it is not having the siren on, but there are flickering lights or the strobe lights are on, give it away. 2, an accident scene. Don't just move patients unnecessarily. I remember I went to an accident scene whereby I just reached and they opened their ambulance by themselves and they threw the patient in, and I felt bad because I didn't even do anything for that patient. So stay calm, wait for the personnel who come with the ambulance to help out.
Okay.
So number 1, give ambulance way.
Yes.
Stay calm and don't move the patient unnecessarily when you don't have a skill of moving that patient. Because if you're a patient of head injury, not head injury, but spinal injury, we have a special tools for carrying this patient. This patient, we use spine board and we tie it too tight using spider web strap to make this patient not get more further injuries, because we have aims of first aid, which is number 1, preserve life, prevent further injuries, and to promote recovery. Remember those 3 things.
All right.
First aid, prevent further injuries, promote recovery, and that one.
Preserve life.
Yeah, preserve life. Okay, all right.
Preserve
we'll
life.
put at 10 seconds. That's a 5 at this point.
5 seconds.
Go.
Okay, I'll say stay calm. And when you call, kindly share your exact location.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. All right. You told us the correct way, in terms of approaching, say, we want to collapse and they are unresponsive.
Omega.
Okay. Omega. I don't know whether Mercy was able to compile it at Tatwe Care. But meanwhile, the question that we asked you, so there's a poll, that we had on YouTube, where we said, you find someone collapsed and unresponsive, what is your first move? So, 54% of you actually said you check for a pulse. 18% of you said call for emergency services. 14% of you said call their name loudly. And 13% of you said you start CPR immediately. Okay. So, Omega. Okay. That is the correct way. Okay. Very quickly. 5 seconds before the Anna kicks out.
Assess the situation.
Assess the situation.
Make area safe. Give emergency aid. Get help by calling ambulance, police, or the Kenya Power to help you if it is fire. And then aftermath, make sure you collect your gloves, use gloves, and don't bring more harm to the children around.
I like that. Thank you so much. That is Eli Charles Obogo, who's an emergency responder, emergency medicine and trauma. We had Macri Akoth Ochieng, who is an emergency medical technician. And we also had Millicent Oswaga, who is an emergency medical dispatcher. Thank you so much for your time. We've learned so much. And like someone said, with their 3 masters, we still continue to learn. Okay. And if you can, please take basic first aid, lessons so that you improve your skills. Because again, like I said, you never know. Emergencies happen, almost always around us, and you can save someone's life. So that's it for today's show, right here on Your World on Wellness Wednesday. If you have more questions, use our social media handles, use our WhatsApp number, and that is 0112 500 400. Send all those questions, and then we will forward them to them, and they will answer you. Okay. But for now, have yourselves a lovely, lovely day. day ahead. We'll see you tomorrow on Trendy Thursday. But until then, stay safe and take care. Goodbye.